Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today we're gonna talk to a young man whose journey into the sports field, and let's be specific. Let's talk about the different football organizations. And it's a tough road. We're talking about the NFL, we're talking about the CFL, we're talking the UFL. Hell, let's even add the Arena Football League in there. Hell, anybody that's carrying a football, that's what we're talking about today. But we're talking about one man's journey. And it's a very interesting journey. Just imagine in high school getting the chance to get an Olympic medal. Just imagine being one of the best in your field, and all of a sudden you have to forego a mountain of scholarships because something even more important happens in your life where you have to take care of a family member, not just any family member, but your father. And you're still young. And now you have to navigate which directions that you need to take to keep your dream alive. Today on the show, I'm blessed to have this young man, and I heard his story of inspiration and the never die attitude. Clearly a beast mindset. I'd like to welcome to the show the future NFL linebacker star. Let me go deeper. Let me go deeper. Let me give him what he's due. Not just the future linebacker star, because he's already proven he's good at this position, but he's also good at the defensive end, converted over to linebacker. Welcome to the show, Mr. Thomas Reed III. What's up, big guy?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you for that.
Before we get started, you grew up in the New York area, and then you wind up in Colorado. But before we go to that journey, what was it like for you growing up in the New York area?
Oh man, I loved it. I was born in Long Island, lived out in Brooklyn, but the New York lifestyle is extremely fast. Yeah. Such a diverse area. I had such a good time, memories that would forever stick with me. So I definitely enjoyed my time out there.
Now you did something truly 17 years old, gold medal, Team USA, still in high school. Damn, you got to tell me that journey. How did all that even unfold?
Truly, I don't even know how to really break it down. I remember one day I got an email and a call from a guy who was, he said, "Hey, I'm part of the Team USA committee," and I hung up on the guy. Like, I'm thinking it's a prank call, like it's a joke or something like that.
Yeah.
The guy ended up calling me back and told me, he was like, "Hey, do we get disconnected?" And I told him, I was like, I don't really play around with my football career. I don't do well with prank calls. Right. Long story short, he said, "Give me your email and I'll send you this information, but we would love to have you. And if you don't get an email within the next 5 minutes, do not call me back." So he sent over that email and we talked about it when I called him back, and kind of just gave me the breakdown. And it was a truly like awesome moment for me in my life to go, represent the country and play for Team USA in Kuwait.
How in the heck did they find you to even get put on the team? Because you're talking about you're 17 years old. Like, what made you stand out to them after you physically met with them?
I've been to like a lot of camps and showcases at, my young days in high school, trying to compete with other kids from other states to see where my skill set was at, how to develop. I learned from a lot of pro coaches. I've always been just invested into the game of football, but it might have been somebody there from one of those showcases, whether it's the USA camps or, the national underclassmen or something. I'm not sure, but, he ended up reaching out to me, and I believe it was like 55 or 60,000 kids or 40, some crazy amount of applicants, and they only selected 45 or 55 or something like that. And I was one of them. So it was truly a blessing.
What was that like once you got there? Like, what was different compared to what you were doing with the team, with you playing just in high school? Like, was it a different format? It's almost like going from high school, college, and then to the NFL. What was the different preparations that you had to do to be considered on that team? What was the training like for you?
For me, I was just I was such a football addict pretty much, where I would just go work out and do my normal trainings. And then I would go to the field and I would do a lot of visual learning. So like I'm jogging off from the sideline, I'm working on my long snaps. I'm picturing how I'm in kick stepping. I'm trying to picture what Mexico players would look like, and Japan, and all of the other kids that we were playing against. And that was, for me, that was my preparation. And then once I got there, to kind of see the talent that I was playing with, is even now, to start one of the starting quarterbacks in the CFL. He was actually my teammate. He won a Gray Bowl this year, Brian Scott. So it was, he could tell you as well, but like the talent and the preparation it took was just I was just locked in pretty much.
What was some of the teams like that you was playing against? You was playing against other countries, correct? Like,
yes.
How was that? I'm pretty sure it's a one and done. If you don't win, you pack it up and go home. I don't know. Yeah. I'm asking you. Is that what it is?
No, so they had a certain amount of games, but like depending on when you lose and who you lose to, they kind of work your way from gold to silver to bronze and that kind of thing. So you had opportunity to play for other medals depending on where you were ranked. But we played against Mexico. Mexico was probably one of the biggest teams that I've ever played and ever seen. Their quarterback would look like an offensive tackle. Like everybody out there was just ginormous.
Really?
Germany. Yeah, Germany was an extremely talented team. They had such diverse speed and size, and you could tell that they've invested into the game of American football as well. Canada was probably our hardest competition. We were actually I think we were down in the first half, and we were kind of losing until we came back and ended up beating them in the championship game. Japan, they were just small, but they were just super fast, like agile and quick, and so it was so cool to see all of the differences, in all of the countries. But everybody, there was just talent on all of the teams.
Well, you're older now. You're 27 years old. But I mean, like, I've never even heard of an opportunity like this. And then on top of that, you're 17 years old, but you go over there. I mean, get real. We're not watching Japanese football in America. We're not watching, Russian football in America. We're not watching none of these other countries. But you're telling me at 17 years old, they pretty much took this game and actually play it on a level that's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, that like I said, there was the talent across the board. Obviously, you could tell the countries who were very familiar with the game of football, countries who were still learning the game, but just the fact that I had that experience in another country like Kuwait, and seeing all of the different countries participate in this, and then having that bonding moment with other players from other countries, just from the game of football, was truly a blessing, especially at a young age for me. That was a blessing for me.
How long was the tour? How long was this for you when you was over there? Was a week?
So I believe we were I was in Washington, D.C. at Shenandoah University. We had our training camp and meeting there. And then we flew from D.C. All the way to Kuwait. And I believe we were there for about 2.5 weeks.
That had to be, but when it was all said and done, and it was, first of all, what was it like when you was in the championship? You said the Canadians was the toughest that you had to play against to get the gold medal. What made them so tough for you guys to beat? Were you all the same age, around the same age bracket? Like, what was the cutoff for the age?
Yeah, I believe it was 19 or a redshirt freshman technically in college. I believe that was kind of like the cutoff that was at that time. But it was the U19 team. And Canada, their skill set, you could tell like a lot of those kids probably had like a lot of elite training of where they're from, because they have the CFL up there. Mm-hmm. So their teachings was, obviously their game is a little different, so their mechanics were a little different, but the skill set of, the IQ of how they kick slide and what to read on me as I'm trying to read them and things like that was you could tell they were developed and they were very skilled.
Were you nervous? I mean, you're 17 years old and you're playing against 17, 18, a 2 years age difference, and still their skill set should be better as a age. Were you nervous at any point while you were out there?
No. I felt very confident that I was there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And my main focus at that time to kind of take the nerves out was, thinking of my family and my dad. My dad fought in Desert Storm and which was in Kuwait. So
Right.
for me to play out there and have that common ground with him, that was kind of like my mental clarity, my peace, and just kind of just enjoying the moment at the time, just being a young football player, just playing in another country.
What do you think was the final? What was the preparation that you guys needed to take to beat them in order to get that gold medal? Because you said you had to come from behind and you guys wind up winning, but what was the game changer? What that you guys bought in there to bring that gold medal home?
At halftime, I remember we were sitting in the locker room, and our coach, Aaron Brady, at the time, he told us, like, this is the game that we've created. We got to take pride in this. And then there were also military soldiers from the base that's out there that were watching the game, that were in the stands on the sideline with us. And we realized that there was a lot on the line, and people were really taking pride in supporting us. So we kind of definitely took the initiative to make sure that we had to turn it up on them. We had to make sure. And then once we finally got a couple, fumble recoveries and started making some plays, the momentum, we just took the momentum and then we ran with it. Like, we were just play after play after play after play. We just took over.
What play do you remember that you had in any one of the games that you guys played against? What do you remember bringing to the table that you go, yeah, I'm the beast right now?
I remember there's one play I was pass rushing, playing against Japan, and I do kind of like an in and out, a little pass rush. And this is before I even knew what a cross chop was, but I did it. And I ended up getting a sack. And I actually led the Olympic tournament in sacks. And I believe I had 3 sacks for a loss of total 24 yards throughout the whole tournament. I was ranked number 1. And that was like the one that was the icing on the cake. And ever since then, that one stuck with me.
When it's all said and done and you come back home, what was that like for you to come back home after winning the gold? What was that like for you?
To be honest, I was more on, like, I appreciated the moment, and for my family to kind of like let them have the moment of, like, my son did this, my grandson did this. Like, I wanted them to cherish that and feel proud of it. For me, though, I was more of just locked in on what's next. I got to get ready for college now. I'm trying to take on to the next step. So that was more of my phase. I'm just kind of, okay, what's next? I achieved it. It's great. I never sulked in it, but what's next? So
what was next? You come home, you're getting ready for college. What was that like for you? Did you get a lot of offers? What was that like for you?
No, I ended up going to junior college. So I originally went to Lackawanna College in Pennsylvania, and I did a semester there. And then at that point in my life, that's when my father's illness at the time had kind of taken over a little bit. And I kind of had to make the decision of stay in school in Pennsylvania or go back home to New York at the time. So I ended up transferring. I went to Nassau Community College, which is another community college, which is on Long Island. And then I ended up moving back into the area of Brooklyn, and I went to ASA College from there, and then led into how I ended up in Colorado after that.
Now, your father is a very big part of your life. Did you guys sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk with you foregoing any other opportunities to come to Colorado to take care of him? Like, how was that with you and your father? Like, how do you guys come up with the heart-to-heart conversation and to make the decision to leave New York and come in and assist your father and still be able to pursue your football career?
He knew football was my number one, and my parents were very adamant on, if you want to pursue football, that's fine, but your education comes first.
Right.
So as long as I made sure that the education was good, and my parents did a fantastic job on, like, supporting me through everything, but I just wanted to make sure that my family was taken care of on the things that I know that they needed help on. So it wasn't even just really my dad that I had that conversation with. I let my mom know. I told my sister. I told the whole family, like, this is what I need to do in order to make sure that everybody's situated. And I went through all of the pros and cons, a bunch of possibilities that could happen, that could not happen. Mm-hmm. And I had to, like, really do a lot of self-evaluation for that in order to take that step. So that way my family doesn't struggle or put themselves in a worse situation just because I'm chasing something. And in my opinion, it was my concept of being selfish. Like, I'm worried about my career and just myself, when there are people who pushed me and helped me get to that point, especially my parents. I couldn't just leave them behind.
How was you able to keep your mental focus knowing that your dad was going through, let's call it what it is, life-threatening situation with kidneys and being on dialysis for hours and hours and weeks and days at at a time. How was you able to really keep that mental focus? And, you know, did any of that, were there any moments during this time where you're helping your dad and stuff that you was like, I don't know if this is the right decision for me to keep trying to pursue this football or maybe do something else?
No, I knew one thing that my dad knows is he played professional baseball at one point of his life. And he's also had to close that door in his life. And he's told me, like, if you have the skill set, pursue it. So he's always been in support of me with that. But when it came to, the mindset, I always realized that I come last, and I hate to say it that way, but that was my mindset, that I come last. Like my father, he comes first. And then, my mother, she comes first before me, making sure my sister, she's younger than me. So she needs a sense of safe space to get things done. Like there was a lot of people that relied on me. And I ended up having the skill set to get the resources, to have these accomplishments, to put my family in a better situation. So it was always about learning how to just stay logical, appreciate the things, and just take care of what needs to get taken care of.
Now you wind up being in Colorado, but then you also wind up participating in the pro day and workouts. What was that like for you to get that invite to have a chance to showcase your talent?
Man, it was always a dream of mine to do it, especially coming out of college. And then once I finally got the opportunity, I was like, again, I was in that what's next mindset. Like, okay, how do I get this done? What do I got to do? And, there's a Colorado training facility. There's a training facility in Colorado, Land Out Performance. And they helped me through my process of getting my pro day and training me for my pro day and things like that. But once I finally got there, to see those teams and those scouts and sit in that room with them and kind of go through that process, it was like I guess it was a moment where I kind of felt proud for something for the first time. But then I realized, like, all right, this is a job interview. Like I gotta shut this off. Now it's time to lock in. So I immediately turned it off and, I went to work and continued locking in and staying pursuing it.
When you're at the pro day, I know, and I asked this with a lot of my friends that played in the NFL or went through this process, like, who did you really want to interview you? What teams did you really want to interview you, and why?
So we had the New York Jets there, and I was really hoping at the time. I mean, trust me, I'd have been thankful, especially coming from a D2 school. I would have been thankful for all of the teams that were there. Yeah. But, when I saw the Jets there, I definitely thought that was like an opportunity of like, I started picturing like if I get an opportunity at practice squad or, rookie mini camp or something, like my dad could take the drive, right there to MetLife and or the training facility and come and watch. My family can have that moment of like feeling proud and kind of clearing their mind of all of their day-to-day stuff, right, just to watch me pursue something and for me to give them that space. That was my thought process at the time.
Who was your second choice? You better get this right. I'm giving you all the chances in the world.
Well, at our pro day, we only had a few teams. And at that point, like I said, I was more so focused just on wherever I can go. Give my family the opportunity to watch me play another time. Now,
you suffered an injury. How did that change your mindset? Because I know as a former athlete, when I ripped my hamstring, I had never had an injury before, and it was psychologically hard for me to grasp an injury, period, especially when you never had one. But the training is different. The mindset becomes different. What was it like for you when you wind up injuring your hamstring? How did you refocus?
In the middle of the 40, opened up, and I guess I opened up a little too much, and my mechanic was off or something, and I ended up, straining my hamstring at the time, and it took a toll on my timings. But at that point, I was like, I can't. Just again, turning off the emotions and just staying logical and understanding that I'm at a job interview. I got to get this done, and I got to fight through it no matter what. Because if I sit out, I'm at 100% loss. If I fight through it, I'm still at a 50-50. So right. I just had to kind of push through it and just deal with it. And then once my pro day process was over, like I always understood the process of how to be a professional and how to be, carry yourself in that manner and understanding what the business can consist of. So I just made sure I had all of the resources that I need. I had a medical team and the resources that would help me during my pro day. They helped me recover, and then I was back to square one all over again. I was feeling better than ever after I healed up.
When you guys are at pro days like that, it is a job interview. You are being watched by scouts and owners and trainers and everybody. How do they, when something like that happens to you, how do you guys get notified on how your performance is? As a professional bodybuilder, before I even on a professional bodybuilding level, we get score sheets from the judges. Every judge gives you a score sheet to let you know how you did in certain categories. Do you guys get provided with that same type of data as well when it's all said and done?
No, sometimes like depending on how well you do, if there's something that they really want to come across and say, I guess they just come up to you and, tell you did a good job and they like certain things that you see. But most of the time, from what I know, most of the stuff goes through the agents, and they talk to the agents and take care of that. So, your job is to stay in shape, stay ready, and stay on top of things. And then the agent is the one that's always typically following up and doing his part. That's why it's important to find somebody you trust in that realm.
Okay. So now it's time for the class of 2020. That was we talked about that. It's a serious class. Now you switched from defensive end to linebacker. You was one of the top 10 linebackers. How do you feel that how much impact do you think the injury had on the overall 2020 class as it relates to you?
I think it impacted everybody to some form or fashion, whether you got picked up or not. But for me personally, I mean, coming from a D2 school and then me not having, pulling my hamstring in the middle of the drills, my time's not looking ideal. And granted, that's not their fault, but they just got to go based off of what they see. But, I'm thankful that when I did my vertical, I had a 36.5. And then when I did my broad jump, I jumped 10 feet, 6 inches. So I was definitely up there and I was getting my mojo going, and it kind of just took a turn. So it kind of just was, it is what it is, just take it on the chin and just figure out what's next.
Your road has not ended yet.
No, sir.
You still got a lot of things that you're doing. And one of them I thought was really cool. You have a scholarship named after you. Talk about that. Cause I don't know no athletes that have a scholarship named after them.
Yeah. So when I came out in 2020, obviously football is NFL, not for long. Football doesn't last forever.
Right.
My mother was only playing Bs and stuff. So I had kind of no choice in that window. And then, I ended up signing a contract to the Fan Control Football League in Atlanta, played out there. And then, didn't last very long due to an injury I had that year. But once I came back home, I was trying to figure out, how can I give back to the community now that I've achieved something else, whether it was kind of small or not. I think I had achieved something where I can kind of give back. And I kind of just built, my name became a brand from the Olympics and from making it and playing in college and things like that. So kind of just wanted to utilize that in a positive manner. And I decided to start my scholarship fund where I help kids, high school seniors who are kind of in that process of getting recruited or struggling with tuition. And whatever school that they go to, I send $1,000 check to that school to help with their books and help with that stuff.
Man, that is beautiful. You don't even hear that from individuals that may not have already made it to the league. You've already doing something proactive to help the community. Let's go back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing now to make sure that you get the opportunity again, the second time around? What are you doing now to prepare for that?
Man, I'm training 2-3 hours a day, pretty much, about 3-4 times out of the week. So I do my speed training or my lateral movement. I work with a speed coach out here. And then I'm a sports performance coach now, but one of my degrees, because I have 7 degrees, so I utilize one of them in writing my strength and conditioning program that way. So I'm working out all of the time, and then I'll do some position work, so that way I stay on top and I'm staying clean, going through my mental reps the same way I did when I was a child.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of just staying ready. And hopefully if a team calls me in for a workout or, whether it's one of the local ones or a private workout or whatever, I'm ready to go. That's part of the business. It's part of the job before it's too late.
Now, hold down a minute. You said you got how many degrees? 7?
Well, 2 bachelors and 5 minors. Yes.
And you sure you want to go play in the NFL?
Yeah, I still do.
Okay, because that's called a backup plan for real. I mean, like that's a serious backup plan. Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about your dad. How much of it you've helped him? He's doing better now, correct?
Yes.
You guys have talked since. What's that like for him seeing you got, achieving all these things? You got the 7 degrees now, you went there to help him and stuff. How has that bonded you guys even tighter?
We still talk like, we damn near brothers sometimes, like we joke around with each other. We play around with each other. We'll call and he'll check in because he's currently in New York still now. Right. So he'll call and, we'll check in on each other, see what's up. There's times I'm even forgetting cooking recipes and I'll call him just to chop it up with him and he'll give me the recipe and then I'll cook at home, so we still have that relationship and everything is still smooth as if I'm still, living in New York.
What do you mean cooking? You know how to cook?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so what recipe are you sharing? What recipes are you sharing with your dad? This is interesting. What recipe are you forgetting to share with your dad?
Man, he's taught. We have a family recipe when it comes to oatmeal. I mean, to how to season different ways of collard greens, and he's taught me how to make mac and cheese. Different ways to make a steak. My pops was a chef, so he showed me the way a lot. And my mother, she's the organizer, she's the cleaner, so. When it came to cooking and cleaning, like I got that skill down pat.
Yeah. So what did you learn from your mom? Like what inspiration did your mom bring to the table for you?
My mother, she's taught me a lot about how to be, to lock in and get things done no matter how tired and fatigued you are. She stepped up to the plate and executed a lot in the household. And even no matter how many times it took a toll on, her or my parents, they did their part and always trying to make sure that I didn't see it. I mean, granted, there's only so much that they can do, with me as a child, and that's the reason why I lived the life that I lived, to make sure that they don't feel that way no more. But they did the best that they can. And my mother, she made a lot of sacrifices and did a lot of things for me that she didn't have to do as a mother, let alone, with my football career, so both my parents are truly appreciated, and it's been a blessing for them to do what they did for me.
Now I'm a throw a bone at you. Now you said the Indianapolis Colts might have looked at you. You have any intentions on trying to come here and try to participate on the Indianapolis Colts football team?
Listen, if the blessing comes, I'll be on the first flight there.
So what do you got going on now? You got some projects that are about to come up in 2026. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I host football camps now around the country as well with some of my former NFL teammates or friends, the guys that I play with in different leagues. And we kind of just go back to the aspect of giving back to the community, giving back to the youth kids. And, we want to coach them and basically give them a good time. And then the high school group, I want to make sure that they're prepared for life as much as possible. So we go through combine testing, we go through position work, teaching them how to build their IQ for what college is going to look for. I do a college recruiting seminar, so I teach their families and the kids now about what NCAA is and, the eligibility process and, red shirts and green shirts and all of that stuff like that. And now I was teaching them NILs and how to be safe with that because, we see what sports is becoming now with this. And then I have a partnership now with a company called Straight Align, where they're one of my biggest official partners for my camps. And they actually give my kids college credit courses that they can complete at home. So that way they can transfer those credits over to whatever school that they attend to. So that way it saves their scholarship and their tuition and so on and so on.
Like I said, you want to stay in the NFL? You got like I said, I don't know why I get it, man. You're like you're doing stuff that corporate America is doing right now. And that's really cool. My question to you is this. You have a program that's fundamentally sound to help these individuals understand the business aspect of going into the NFL and so forth. You went through these things. What are some of the things that you wish that you knew prior to starting your journey?
Education. I'll put it straightforward, just like that. I want to say I was a knucklehead, but I will say that, I look back on it, and 10 years ago when I was in high school, I could have done better. And regardless if it was getting my GPA up by 2 points or retaking my SAT at the time again, it's the little things. And I tell all of these kids, like, if you don't do what you're supposed to do now, it would literally dictate your regrets or not, and for the rest of your life, especially in this game of sports, because this doesn't last forever, so you never get that time back and wondering where you could have been. So, I'll probably say that education was really like the biggest thing in learning, like, hey, if I had got my GPA up to qualify for this school, if I had played here, maybe my career could have been different here, or maybe my life situation could have, there's a whole bunch of shoulda, woulda, couldas, and I know you shouldn't live life in that dynamic 24/7, but I look at it as a sense of accountability and understanding how to avoid those problems for the next generation, or, how to live my life better as a professional athlete, where the dynamic is a lot more detailed, I'd say.
You've been doing these sports camps all over the world. You have a major sponsor backing you with this. What are three of the most impactful things that you're learning from these kids as they prepare to walk the same kind of walk that you have?
I'll probably say one of the biggest challenges that I'm really trying to focus on and making sure that these kids do not fall into is the dynamic of where society and the NIL deals and social media is pulling into these kids. One of the things that I've learned is that a lot of it is either building egos and, players being unappreciative of the game, or it's destroying confidence for players who, have worked hard for the game. Yeah. So I'm really trying to emphasize on teaching them that regardless on what happens, there's going to be a home, but it's about what you do. Like, you can sit there and post all of the Instagram pictures and all of the stuff that you want, but at the end of the day, you still got a job when you go to practice. So that's one of the biggest challenges that I'm really trying to fight right now, to make sure that a lot of these kids don't, live with that regret, kind of what I was just talking about.
Yeah, we just saw the Heisman, all of this hoopla about who's the best wide receiver, who's the best this and who's the best that. And I get what you're saying with social media. I think I'm gonna ask your viewpoint. I think that the social media is taken away from individualism players, because all it takes is one major celebrity to endorse another player, and the whole trajectory now changes. So people that should be getting paid attention to, no longer gets that. What's your take on that?
It's when you jump into the world at the high school, we kind of talked about this, but it's about who you know and not what you know, and it's politics. It's a lot that plays a factor into it. But when you kind of got to fight through that and just take it life on the chin and just, all right, what's next? At the end of the day, I still got to go out and play my game. I can't worry about what's posted on social media. I can't worry about what's being said. Granted, you have to carry yourself because you know what the media is capable of doing. Right. But you just got to take it on the chin, So, like, for example, Genty and Hunter, they're both fantastic players and both have set tremendous marks for the game of college football at this moment. And everybody's going to have their opinion. But at the end of the day, they still got to go out there and play. They still got to get ready for the draft. They still got to go out there and showcase for their pro days. They still got to have a career. They still got to fight through the media. They still have to do all of those things. So at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, in my opinion. I think that you just gotta deal with it. Just take it on the chin and just showcase your skills, and eventually, hopefully, somebody will find you. Kind of the same boat that I'm in. Hopefully, somebody will find me.
How do you change those young kids' mindset? I mean, you're right. We live in a digital age where you can become a celebrity overnight. And I was talking to a couple of my buddies that play in the league now. I don't really see the word T in the sport anymore. It's now about who can make the most money, who can get the most notability, So with that said, do you feel like at times that what you're trying to resonate becomes overshadowed with the glimmer that these young kids are seeing? Hey, this can be me. That's a hard thing to how do you really try to get them to see your vision?
Honestly, I'm all of the kids that I work with, even the kids that I give my scholarships to, that I still mentor to this day. I keep it real with them. Just being honest, like really not sugarcoating the process, and just kind of being like, well, hey, listen, if you do this, then this could be no. Like I keep it real, and as easy it is to kind of build up a portfolio or this image on social media, as it's also as easy just to do the research and find out where other players have made those same mistakes from letting social media get to them. So I hate to show them the negative, but in order for them to become positive and not to go down those roads and understand that they're not making those mistakes, they have to see the negatives and also like put themselves in those shoes. And if somebody tells them straight up and is just honest about it, there's no chance that they can really fall into it. I personally have all the kids that I talk to, and I tell them all of the honest stuff about what the lifestyle I live, what the struggles I'm going through trying to find a team, to what my struggles was like in college. Now they're starting to see that process, and that's what I'm there for. I'm there to kind of ease that process for them and the families who don't understand it, who know nothing about it.
What are the three things that you would give to an individual before to help them start the preparation? What are the three fundamental things that you would tell them to start with?
The three things that I fundamentally tell them to start with is one of the biggest things is talk to me. And I always tell all the players, talk to me and tell me what's on your plate. Tell me what your lifestyle is like, at home, academics, where are you struggling? Where's the problems that you're at right now? Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is, again, teaching them that you're a football player. You're not a special, you're a number, you're easily replaceable. You move on or you get demoted. That's just the reality of it. And then the third thing is just understanding that, like I said, the lifestyle that you live for the rest of the next 40, 50 years of your life will start now when you leave high school, depending on the kind of dynamic that you're in. So those are like the three things I'm very, very adamant on. And then obviously the education is the biggest one.
You have so much wisdom at 27 years old, so much that you're giving back to the community and your family. If the roads to the NFL doesn't open up the way that you want them to open up, will you, I won't say will you be upset, because I'm pretty sure you would be, but what would be your next choice if that doesn't happen? What would be your next choice? I see you having a bunch of opportunities, and I get that this is what you want, but just to say it doesn't, like what would be your backup?
Yeah, if football doesn't work out, whether it's the UFL, a CFL, camp invite, NFL, whatever the case is, like this is kind of where I'm at right now. Like I've spent the last 4 years or so, after COVID and going all these tryouts and teams and stuff, and some opportunities happening, some not working out the best for me, so on. I'm kind of prepared myself for that. So I'm mentoring these kids now. I'm doing strength and conditioning programs. I was a defensive coordinator for our high school this year, so I have a lot of asset to kind of give back and utilize. And I've kind of already started my plan B's and C's. It's just, I know this plan A, this window's closing up, and I know I still have the gift, and I feel like I'm peaking. I'm right. Still on the rise of getting stronger. My IQ is getting better. My technique is getting better. I feel like I can still do it. So I want to cherish it while I can.
I already know you can do it. I'm just making sure that you keep that mind. What was it like? Excuse me. What was it like coaching? What was it like coaching for you? You like coaching?
I do like coaching. Even now being a sports performance coach here, out here as well, I do definitely enjoy it because it allows me to see, all of the kids on a day-to-day basis, see their progression. And then when you kind of see their confidence increase, because like when you coach a kid up and then he finally does what you tell him to do and it works for him and he starts making plays and he gets hyped, then it gets you hyped, and it allows that common ground of that trust to kind of be built. And then that's when that dynamic of relationships and things like that start to happen with, just the youth, in a positive manner. So that's one of my best things about it.
Now you work with a lot of kids. You're traveling around and putting on these camps and stuff. Man, your resume is big. I mean, just call it what it is. You're doing some remarkable things. Are there any name at least 3 or 4 kids in what areas that you was in, like what state, that has really blossomed with your program and you know, being a part of your camp?
I'll give you one right now. Currently, his name is Brandon Bell. He's my scholarship recipient this year. He's from Denver, Colorado, went to Northfield High School. He's a young, talented, like I think 5'11", you know, cornerback. Kid is extremely athletic. You know, and now he's a very coachable kid. He's in the realm of now getting ready for college. We're trying to find him a home, but now he has a couple schools that I've connected him with, and now he, you know, he's going on his visits and he's getting prepared for that. So he's definitely a kid that I would definitely look out for. And then, like I said, in 2026, I'll be hosting my All-Star game for high school kids who are kind of in that same boat. So there's going to be more talent to come.
How can the viewers reach out to you? And I'm pretty sure all that stuff, when they reach out to you, will be on your website or when they contact you. How can they get your information?
Yeah, they can reach out to me through social media, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at thomas.reed, REED, and then number 3. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, a lot of people don't use that, but I do. I'm on Facebook. I have a bunch of pages. I also have my website out. It's officialthomasreed.com. So you could definitely reach out to me that way. I mean, there's plethora of ways, and I'm down to help out a lot of the kids and the youth and teach the families and so on as I pursue my career to kind of put on pads again.
Leave the viewers with that beast mindset. I know you're going to put on the pads again, and I'm going to be like cheering you on. You know, I like the linebacker position, but I'm more of a cornerback guy. You know, I like to use my speed when necessary, but leave the viewers with that beast mindset that keeps you going every day.
Listen, at the end of the day, you just got to stay logical and understand that you have a purpose. If you're waking up to see another day, God gave you another day, utilize it, cherish it, and don't waste it. Because when you waste it and that regret hits and you start dwelling on emotions, you know, things in life take a turn. So always just figure out what's the next step and always find a way to progress, whether it's sports, whether it's how to be a father, how to be a brother, you know, so on. You know, just find ways to progress and better the life around the people around you.
Thomas, thank you so much for taking time out to come and share such a beautiful and inspiring story. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.